From classics to modern-day dramas, some shows are made so brilliantly that once you start watching, you simply can't stop comparing other series to them. No one really thought that the character of a regular chemistry teacher would bring havoc until Breaking Bad introduced us to Walter White. Walter struggles with cancer, and he realizes that he's only got a handful of days to live. So guess what? He starts cooking illegal substances and eventually becomes a huge name in his field. But all he wants is to leave enough money for his family so they could live a happy life. The show had such a huge impact on millennials that it became a pop culture staple. And what started off as just a show has become a Breaking Bad universe, with spin-off series and even a movie. Besides, the show itself has won an Emmy, Golden Globes and People's Choice Award, but the most obvious evidence of the show's success is that it still trends quite often. Moving on, what could go wrong in a perfectly planned bank heist? Well, everything. Or at least that's the case with Money Heist. A mastermind who calls himself the Professor finds 8 thieves who are the best at what they do. Then he makes such a huge plan to manipulate the police that he stays one step ahead of them while robbing the Royal Mint of Spain for days. It is one of the best thrillers you'll ever come across because there are times when the thieves are on the brink of literally losing their lives, as they're locked up in a building with hostages who could rebel at any given time. Money Heist was so well received that it's won several awards, including an Emmy and several Platinos. When talking about amazing shows, we can't really skip over Stranger Things. A girl with a superpower, a group of boys in some serious trouble, what good can happen? Well, Stranger Things proved everyone wrong by bringing us all back to the 80s and introducing us to some of the worst monsters while keeping the overall tone nice and breezy. The story starts with a young boy who disappeared, and episode by episode, the whole group wages war against the monster on the other side. So far, Stranger Things has come up with 4 seasons, and all of them were a huge success. The best part about the show, obviously, is its story and the screenplay. Scenes where Max tries to escape Vecna and where Eddie hits the guitar upside down have raised the bar so high that no show will be able to compete with it in the near future. The show even won 5 Emmy Awards because of how the creators have continued to expand the story and widen the universe over the last 4 seasons. Bridgeton is another very mainstream show that keeps getting better with every season. This period romance broke all the records and became the most watched English show on the platform. The story of Bridgeton revolves around the 8 siblings of the Bridgeton family, and the show covers the love story of one sibling in each season. Bridgeton might not be for everyone, but the aesthetics, elaborate costumes and steamy love stories are so beautifully executed that you'll feel weird even thinking about another show. Up next, we have Game of Thrones, which is one of the most popular TV shows across the globe. Game of Thrones has a really big cast, and everyone is fighting for either power, revenge or honor in some way. The show never gets boring because there's something happening on screen at all times. But apart from internal enemies, the royal family also has to save its people from White Walkers. The settings of the show is really grand, costing millions each episode. However, the thing that makes the show stand out is its impact, as it's completely changed the way people see fantasy TV. We won't deny that the show could be a little complicated at times, but it's worth every second for sure. Another widely acclaimed show is The White Lotus, which is a 10-time Emmy Award-winning show that talks about the class system, mental health and wealth, but in the funniest way possible. It follows the life of people staying at a resort called the White Lotus. The guests at the resort are extremely rich, while the staff have to go to any length so that they can please them. By watching the show, you're kind of studying the relationships they have with each other and how they behave in different situations. The show is more of a social satire that's laced with dark comedy. You might find the start of The White Lotus a little slow, but as the story keeps progressing, the show continues to get more and more exciting. Even the second season of the show has gotten great reviews from people as it focuses mainly on the intimate subjects and themes like adultery, cheating, and obsessions. In addition, Beef hit our screens only recently, and yet all the viewers are calling it one of the best shows in a really long time. The story revolves around Danny Cho and Amy Lau, who are a part of a road rage incident, and now they're hell-bent on taking revenge, and that starts affecting everyone's life. What starts off as something harmless ends up being a whole tragedy, and their whole lives are different as Amy is a successful and very rich entrepreneur, while Danny is a broke businessman. But both of them aren't very happy in their lives, and that fuels their emotions of revenge. The show is all you could ask for, as it comes with comedy, thrill, and action. It won't be wrong to say that Beef is setting a new precedent for revenge-based shows. It won't be fair if we don't include an absolute cult classic show that was so well received from the audiences that even a spin-off of the show was released, and it has also become a huge sensation. It's The Big Bang Theory, a show that revolves around the lives of 4 scientists who are trying to live a normal life while also being super intelligent. Over the seasons, these scientists meet new people, strengthen their bond, and get married. Their journey is so wholesome and funny that that you'll binge all of the seasons in probably a couple of weeks. It's the kind of show that's often being compared with Friends or Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The show has won a whopping 79 awards and has been nominated 252 times in different categories. So it's definitely the kind of show that never gets old. Another very well-received TV series is Squid Game, and the story of this show is simple yet deep. A large number of people are gathered in one place, and not regular people, but those who are facing crushing debts and financial stress. They're offered a huge amount of money, but only if they win a competition of children's games. The catch is, if they lose, they don't just lose the game, but their lives. This show was a satire of the class system, and it got so much love from viewers that it became a huge part of pop culture. Squid Game even ended up trending #1 in more than 94 countries, and it was watched for 1.65 billion hours, making it the most streamed show on Netflix. We also have The Last of Us in the list. This show has a post-apocalyptic setting due to a pandemic which only a handful of people survived. Everyone is trying to save themselves from an infection that could turn them into flesh-eating monsters. And amid all of this, a man is trying to save a 14-year-old who could be the only hope for humanity. Everything from writing to screenplay was on point. And that's why it's being considered one of the best video game adaptations of all time. Ozark is yet another great show that is based on a family that moves to Ozark and how they end up becoming money launderers. This shift from a regular life to their indulgence in mafia takes them down a road that could risk everyone's life. The thrill of watching the family get out of the worst situation surely made the show worth watching. Ozark has 4 seasons so far, and all of them were a huge hit. In fact, the show has won Golden Globes and Screen Actors Guild Awards. Moving on, Dark was a huge success on Netflix, but it still is on the underrated side. Most of its popularity comes from the online hype, calling the show really complicated to watch and understand, and yet you just keep watching it. The story of this show revolves around a fictional town where a child has gone missing, and the plot turns into a time travel conspiracy that needs to be solved. Dark has 4 families with 3 different timelines, so you need to understand what's happening to whom and in which time. But once you get past the confusion, the show continues to get better. Another show that keeps making headlines is The Crown. This Netflix production will take you back to probably the most controversial time of the British Empire, when the monarchy was on the brink of destruction. The show covers the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and also the long-buried secrets of the royal family. The Crown is highly inspired by the real-life events of Buckingham Palace, and even covers the whole story of how Princess Diana met and fell in love with King Charles. This show is shot in the most realistic way possible, and so much money is splurged on making the scenes look elegant that you'll feel like you're in a fairy tale. 3 different actresses have played Queen Elizabeth II's different ages, just to make sure that the continuity of the show remains intact. It's almost baffling how the creators pulled off a show on such a huge and controversial story. So, which one of these shows made you obsessed that you still watch them? Let us know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.